Knots and knowing the right knots are an essential part of any rope skills, especially when your life will depend on it. The reason why we have knots that are commonplace to use is simple. It produces an identifiable standard that can be recognized by other users, who then find assurance that the knot will hold the line. The knot has been found not to slip, even when wet, and not weaken the strength of the line by its use. A granny knot, on the other hand, will be tough to untie and almost impossible when wet, or even worse, will untie itself with your entire weight on it and cause you to scream for a few seconds before piling the rope on your body like a fibre tombstone. There are many knots, but for the purpose of this lesson, and not wanting to overload you, we will focus on 2 knots only: the figure of 8, both single and double, and the Alpine Hitch. If you can get some rope to practice on, that would be great. Don't forget, you can pause and rewind this video to make sure you're getting things right. The first knot we'll cover is called the figure of 8. There are 2 types of figure of 8 knot. The first is a singular, the second a double. A single figure of 8 is tied for 2 reasons. The first being an easy way to place a stopper knot on the line, which should then be at the end of the line to stop you falling off it if your measurements are wrong, and the second reason is as a partial double figure of 8 for tying onto around a large item like a tree or an eyelet. To tie the single figure of 8, we droop the rope over, creating a limp effect. The loose end we place to the front of the main line, then to the rear, then back up to the loop. To create a stopper on the line, we run our hand down the long part, forcing the knot to tighten. Do not confuse this with a barrel knot. Once we have a single figure of 8 knot, we can use the knot to secure the line to a closed eyelet or tree, simply by taking the short end and running it around the anchor object and feeding itself through the pattern of the knot, creating a double figure of 8. To tie the double figure of 8, we loop the rope. We create the droop and limp effect, place the double over line to the front and then to the rear, then back up through the double loop. This can now be used for attaching a line to someone, for example if giving a safety line with a dynamic rope, or with crab to attach to an anchor. The second knot we will learn is called the Alpine Hitch. The figure of 8 is commonly used as an anchor knot, but we should always have more than one anchor in case one of them fails. The figure of 8 should be used on the end of the line, whereas the Alpine Hitch can be used mid-line to create a loop. The Alpine Hitch does not place undue stress on the line under weight, whereas a figure of 8 knot could do if both loose ends are tight. To tie an Alpine Hitch, we place the line in the palm of our hand. Guide one end around the fingers and back around again, creating a cross over the line which is still in your palm. Take the loop over your fingers and create a slack. Pull it and feed it under the cross of your palm, then pull through. Remove from your hand and tighten up.